meeting is being recorded.
That's right. It's being recorded. So let me just go ahead and get started. It's 11:03. We'll just invite people as they come in. But I was just saying that I started my personal development lifestyle as a 17-year-old kid in West Hills, California, and I got really into Alan Watts. So Alan Watts is this old philosopher from the 60s who was a priest, like a Catholic priest, and then he went to Asia and he started learning about Eastern philosophy, like the Tao Te Ching and a lot of other really exciting, different, unique, because I grew up as a Catholic school kid and I went to Catholic school growing up and learned about being Catholic. And then I went from that to learning about philosophy and the Tao, what does that mean? The yin and the yang, the good with the bad. And then after that, I just kind of became passionate about my personal development journey. And I didn't even know what it was back then. It was just, I just became like this. I felt like I was a prodigy because I was the youngest kid in all of these trainings and groups that I was a part of. So I went from like Alan Watts to Tony Robbins, and I went to a few other things that were just super. It's just fun for me. I just became really passionate about learning. So I went from that to like Tony Robbins and a bunch of other people that were just too many to count. And so that led me to working for Tony Robbins I was a corporate salesperson for them. And then from working at Tony Robbins, I went into the restaurant, and it's a long story. So I won't get too much into my story, but I will tell you, being in the personal development world has allowed me to be where I am today and to offer these things for you. So by constantly exposing myself to the best of the best in the world, I'm able to share these things and help you put them into practice with regards to real estate and how it works on a day-to-day. So I've studied the best. That's my point. I've studied the best in a lot of different realms: philosophy, business, digital marketing, and I'm here to share some of these insights with you. This is probably one of my most valuable trainings that I've come across and that I've been delivering for over a decade now. And there's reoccurring patterns. We have some guests that I'll be introducing to you in a later part of the training. I'm going to go through the calendar of a top performer. So what does that mean for you? I mean, I know Dominique's been in the business for a while. Marcia's been in the business. I don't know very much about Robert, but do you want to introduce yourself, Robert? Because it's great to have you here. If you don't want to introduce yourself, that's fine too. It looks like your audio is still working.
Yeah, no, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I was early on in my life, I guess I would call it. I got my real estate license and I made a go at it, and didn't work for me. And then so I got a job, and I was there for about 25 years. I got a job in the corporate world, and I recently took a buyout. We were bought out by another company, so I was offered a package, and I took it. And I had this in the back of my head all these years. Wish I would have done it sooner. You know, it's the old story. Wish I would have done it. Wish I would have stuck with it. But here I am. I'm still. I still want to. I'm starting again. Like I'm kind of starting new. But all along these years, I've sold homes here and there for my family and just people that I knew, not really making a career or a lot of money at it like I should have been. But here I am. So it's kind of like that's my life story in a nutshell.
Cool. Very cool. Welcome. Glad to have you here. There's so much to say about that. Getting bought out is like one big component, and then doing real estate in a part-time capacity versus a full-time capacity. Today we're going to be talking about doing real estate as a full-time capacity. I gave you guys a little bit of my background. I'm going to give you a little bit more just so you guys have context. I used to work for 2 Fortune 500 companies as a business consultant. So this would give me exposure to top performing agents. Some of the guests that we will be having today, hopefully they'll be hopping on soon, but these are top performers that are selling at the very least 30 homes a year. Throughout the year, some have gone up to 40, 45 homes a year as individual agents. So these are the people that I specifically invited to this training today. Hopefully they'll join us, but even if they don't join us, I have just notes and things that I'm going to be sharing with you about what I've observed over time. Now, these things are just for your awareness, okay? And these things are only as good as you put them into practice on, right? And a lot of putting this stuff into practice involves time blocking, right? What I've seen as a recurring theme time after time after time is putting this into action involves blocking out time in your calendar to make it happen, right? Rather than when you feel inspired, right? So if you put a time, for certain time blocks, and we're going to get into this in summary, but I wanted to just keep that in your mind to put it into practice. You put it in your calendar, and not just with an intention to do it up here, but it's with full commitment, like with your heart, right? And so you're going to have like this blueprint of a top performer by the time we're done today. And this blueprint is up to you to put it into action. And like I said earlier, I've worked with some amazing top performers, people that have made millions of dollars in real estate, hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate. And it really comes down to personal habits. And so a lot of these people wake up very early, right? This is a reoccurring theme. Everything I'm talking about today, waking up at 5 a.m., for example, going to the gym, doing a meditation or a prayer, right? First thing, they get out, they do some kind of a meditation, gym workout, something like that, like between 5 and 6 a.m. So you might want to write these notes down if you want, if you feel inspired to, or you can just listen, either way. So that's pretty much a standard reoccurring theme. After that, they usually do something to get their mind activated. So whether it's a cold shower, like cold showers are like a thing right now. People are waking up doing cold showers. Some people like Tony Robbins have a plunge, like they do a deep plunge where they dive into like this pool thing. And in the pool, they, it's freezing. It's set to a certain temperature. It's like freezing cold water. So like what I do is like a cold shower in the morning, it just activates you according to the science. Some people do grounding where they walk on the ground in their backyard, or they work in, on their garden or something like that to get their mind where they want it to be, right? Some people are up and they just get right to work. They check their email, or they focus on proactive things, right? Whether they're working on a transaction. So that's pretty much the early morning routine is just, between 5 and 8 a.m. I would say is a good consistent like habit, a ritual, I should say. So it's prayer, meditation, visualization. I know Stephen Covey, who wrote a great book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talked about listening to audiobooks. One of my personal friends who has a very successful company listens to the Bible while he's working, right? It's a separate than real estate, but I'm just letting you know, like these people I'm referencing are all very, very successful people. Getting into a state of gratitude is another key thing that I've noticed overall. Like it's like this saying that says, from abundance, you create even more abundance. So feeling grateful within your heart and mind and working from that state of flow with a mindset of contribution and helping others and resourcefulness and problem solving, like these are all states of being that you will take with you throughout the day when you get it established in your morning routine. Journaling is another big one that I just started doing as well, just based on these people that are just crushing it in their life. And a great strategy for journaling is doing it right before you go to bed and in the morning, right? And Grant Cardone does it like 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. So Grant Cardone is makes hundreds of millions of dollars. He's another sales trainer, and he's an investor, and he's very active on social media. But this guy says the same thing 3 times a day. What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And he just stays on point. And he also talks about gray zoning in your calendar. Like if there's a missing gap in your calendar, he's like, that's where the devil comes in. But I don't really subscribe to that. I'm just sharing that with you just based on my experience in learning from these experts. Affirmations is another one. Better than an affirmation is a question like, why am I on track to achieving my goals? So instead of saying, whatever you say about yourself, with positive or negative, you can ask yourself a question. Instead of making statements, you ask yourself a question. Why am I in alignment with the goals that I have set for myself? And then you write those down. And according to some of the other people that I've learned from, that is a great strategy, because when you're journaling, I mean, according to these experts, they say that you're basically commanding your subconscious mind to live in alignment with the vision that you have for yourself. So you write these things down, you're actually creating it. And we are always getting programmed. In our life, we're getting programmed by digital marketing, by the TV that we watch, the radio that we listen to, and even our environment, the people around us, our friends, our family, our coworkers. All of these people have an influence on our state of being, right? And so, I mean, I'm just talking about the morning routine right now from a top performing standpoint. And then once you do that, that part of the morning, then you go into preparing for the day, right? Like, you look at your calendar, what are the objectives, right? What's your primary objective, and what are the key results to the objectives that you want to achieve for yourself, right? Sometimes in real estate specifically, you look at the hot sheet. What's happening in the market right now, right? Understanding what's going on in the market on a day-to-day helps you perform at a higher level, because your job as a real estate professional is to inform and educate your database of clients. And so if you have a hot sheet of how many listings are in your market that are available right now, how many expireds, whatever statistic that you feel is relevant based on what you're targeting as an objective for your growing your business, and you want to keep your finger on the pulse, right? I know people that are probate specialists. I know people that are for sale by owners and focus on expired listings all the time. Either way, knowing what's going on in the market is a huge, huge thing that you do in the morning. You kind of get a picture of what's happening today, and you do it on a consistent basis. Okay. Next thing after that is going into like a CRM system, right? Going into a CRM system, prepping, checking out what's going on. How are things with the leads that you're currently working on? What is your deal flow? What's going on? Let's see here. Here we go. Adding people to your CRM system is another very important activity, right? That you're doing in the morning generally, like from the day before. If you didn't do it that night, then you do it in the morning. You add them to your CRM system. Let's see here. So around from like 9 to 10:30, this is where you get into like setting appointments, right? As top performing agents, like your morning is prospecting, right? Prospecting means lead generation, messaging people on the digital platforms, phone calls, texting, door knocking. A lot of people that have grown big businesses have done that, right? I remember one guy in particular, there was an application called Clubhouse. Is anybody here on Clubhouse? It kind of got popular for a minute there a couple years ago, and I was on it, and I gained like, I don't know, 1,000 followers in a pretty short amount of time, just contributing value. But there was one guy that I met there. He was out of Dallas, Texas. He was a broker. He was an agent who was struggling, who didn't have any money. And then he made a lot of money. And what he realized, and then he kind of was struggling in his business again after making a lot of money. And what he said was, the golden hour is that morning time between like 9 and 12. That is like the golden hour where he's on the phone, no matter how many deals he has going on at the time. And I have multiple examples of people like him that I come to mind, but he's just one example of this sacred hour between 9 and 12, where you're just making phone calls, or you're sending messages, or you're sending texts, where you're attracting more business to yourself, or you're asking for the business to you or someone you know looking to buy or sell real estate, or you're reaching out to your warm sphere of influence and you're asking them, how can we make some money together? In that moment, when you ask that question, it basically differentiates, like, are you just shooting the breeze, or are you actually working to get a transaction? That one question right there. So these are all things that you could use, like this first habit of daily prospecting from 9 to 12. I mean, it's not revolutionary. The only thing that's revolutionary about the activities and adding to those things from like 9 to 12 as a way of prospecting is maybe creating some content, right? I know some very successful blogs that have been getting leads automatically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through value creation. Value creation meaning educating your audience through a video, right? Using a TikTok video, using an Instagram Reels. And back in the day, it used to be blogging, like writing an article about the market. Now there's a variety of vendors that you can use to do this automatically with your branding on it, which is really, really great. If you want to learn what that is, I'll be more than happy to tell you more about that later. So that's kind of the way it works nowadays. Another way of prospecting. So there's active prospecting and passive. So creating a video during those hours would, and as long as it's published and syndicated in those hours, I would consider that prospecting. Other people would argue with me about that, but if you're actively creating and you're actively publishing, and then you're going back to another text, call, email, door knock, whatever, I consider that prospecting. So that's up to you to decide if that is or not. All right, going back to any questions, I'll take a little pause. Any questions on what I've shared with you so far? You having fun? Are you still with me? Okay, cool. All right, so this is another thing that comes to mind. It's also really important for you to consider. A lot of the times we want to be a hero. We want to spend our time doing things that make us feel like a hero that may or may not lead to money-making activities, right? So the question you want to ask yourself, like going back to this broker that I worked with who was a top performing agent as well as had his own company, is that sacred golden hour at 9 a.m. You know, he would have his assistant deal with any of the other putting out fires with transactions unless it was super, super important. So the CAPE theory is like, we like to spend time doing things that make us feel like a superhero. So, but this intelligent broker, this top performing broker would have his assistant work on that. So if you don't have an assistant, like that's what we're going to ask some of the, hopefully Sharon will join us in a minute, but we'll be asking her about that. And everybody's different. Some people love doing the stuff themselves, but outsourcing stuff, and people who have teams. I mean, I've worked with a guy in San Diego. He's got like a huge team, and he's selling huge volumes of real estate, and he outsources a lot, right? A lot of his work nowadays kind of is doing what I do, or training and teaching others how to build a very successful business. But I'm telling you about that because leverage, you know, if you feel like you're overwhelmed with certain activities, you got to figure out, what can I do to outsource this? So, and that's another reoccurring theme that I've noticed in elite performers. All right. So we've got the morning, we got like 9, you know, and you could do it in 90-minute increments. So like I said, from 9 to 12, but you could do it like from 9 to 10:30 would be like the first time block, like active prospecting. So you can do it phone calls, like from 9 to 10:30. And then from 10:30 to 11, you could make a video. And then from 11 to 12, you can do, you could take a little break, maybe a 5 to 10 minute break. And then you reset and you go back into the prospecting activity, be it cold calling, whatever I've already mentioned, cold calling, door knocking, whatever. And then usually from 12 to 1, I remember another very successful agent that I actually went to go see him talk here in where I live in Thousand Oaks. And this guy has a very interesting story because he actually paid a hypnotist. He paid a hypnotist to help him overcome the fear of door knocking. And I remember when he said that, I was like, that is brilliant. Because Tony Robbins talks about the quality of your life being the quality of your communication, number one, with yourself, and number two, with other people. And so if you understand like that, so that's what he did early in his career. Now he's a top performing agent. And so the reason I bring that up is because part of his brain was fearful about door knocking, right? And so he paid a hypnotist to overcome that fear of door knocking. And so sometimes it just takes a little fine tuning to help you achieve your fullest potential. And so, yeah, so hypnosis is something that's real, that's helped a lot of people. I'm kind of I've never really shared this in this particular way, but you know, getting hypnosis certification, understanding hypnosis is so, I mean, has really served me very, very well in my life. So I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, going from 12 to 1. Oh, and the reason I think about this man is because not only in the hypnosis part, but what he would do is to be efficient. Like he would have his lunch at the table in front of his desk. Like when he was really building it, he would just to be efficient, he would just have his lunch at his table where he would just be, enjoying lunch like while he was working, right in front of his computer. Like he would order lunch, very efficient. So that's another reoccurring theme. A lot of top performers have like an assistant or their spouse cooks them lunch and then they go back to work. So from 12 to 4:30 in the afternoon, sorry, from 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon, you're going on listing appointments or you're going to show buyers. You're on appointments in the afternoon. So morning is prospecting, afternoon it's appointments. Now, if you're a new agent and you have no business or you're a struggling agent, you probably know what I'm about to tell you, which is you go back to making appointments. So 9 to 12, you're prospecting, doing these activities to generate business. You're doing lead generation activities in the morning. In the afternoon, if you don't have appointments, you're going back to lead generation appointments. So you're going back to door knocking, going back to prospecting. And I know I mentioned door knocking, and door knocking might feel like it's an old school strategy, which it is. But the fact of the matter is, a lot more people work from home nowadays. And in a meeting that I was in last week, they referenced an article. I'll share it with you guys too, but it basically says this agent from Beverly Hills door knocked Keanu Reeves, Leonardo DiCaprio, and he literally met door knocking these superstar celebrities and it was like, hey, how's it going? And he got listings from these people in Hollywood. I'll share that article with you guys, but and I know some of the guests that I had invited to participate today do that even now. Other top performing strategies are expireds. One of the top performers that I've worked with personally in the past as well says expireds is where it's at for his business. And so I'm referencing all of these people that I've worked with in the past so that you guys can get a better idea of, finding something that you really enjoy, right? If you dread calling for sale by owners and you'd rather do a expired, then do that. If you'd rather host an open house, then you can do that. You got to find what you enjoy doing because then you'll do more of it, right? I play hockey. I play ice hockey 2 to 3 times a week. And I love training. Like I work out, I'm pretty fit. And I've been doing this for decades. Like I've been doing this most of my life since I was like 14 years old. The longest break I ever took from hockey was probably 3 to 6 months, maybe. And that was like when I was 19, I think. But I'm telling you that because I've played for most of my life without stopping 2 to 3 times a week, at the minimum once a week. And I'm not telling you that to brag or anything. I'm just telling you that because when you love something, you're going to do it, right? And so it just becomes like second nature. So top performance becomes second nature. It's not even like work. So when you build in these habits of top performance, then you start winning championships. Then you start getting recognized in the companies that you're working with. And it becomes second nature. And at first it might become really, really hard, right? I did CrossFit for like 90 days straight because I thought it was going to help me in my performance in ice hockey. But I ended up figuring, like, while I'm training, I'm also learning. And I figured out there's more efficient, more intelligent ways of elite performance in athletics specifically that they're comparable to business as well. So the question is, what am I doing right now that's in alignment with the highest vision that I have for myself? What am I doing right now that's in alignment with the highest vision that I have for myself? So if you want to perform at a higher level in real estate, what does that look like for you? So you're going to ask yourself, like, how many deals did I do last year versus how many deals do I want to do this year, right? And where am I on track right now with regards to that? And so if you're not on track, then what do you have to do to get on track? Those are really powerful questions that'll help you with staying in alignment. I'm going to take a little pause. I'm going to open up. Do you guys have any questions on the calendar so far, the blueprint at this moment?
I just wanted to add in that, there are all of these different things you can do. And a lot of the new people go in and try it once and go, oh, that didn't work. The key to being successful at this is repetition. You have to follow up and you have to keep at it. You can't do something once and then you didn't get any results and go, that didn't work, and you move on to something else. That's one of the reasons a lot of people struggle at this, is because they're constantly starting something new And any one process, you have to give it at least 6 months, and touching people multiple times, the same people. You
Yeah.
got to door knock on the same door multiple times to be able to get
Totally.
any of these to work correctly.
I appreciate your insights, Dominique, because I know you've been in the industry for a long time as well. Dominique, do you want to, let us know a little bit more about you? Your background, stuff like that for the new people.
I've been in real estate since 2007. I actually, my first year in real estate, I ended up falling into REOs. And I was a buyer's agent and did some of the follow-up for one of our top REO agents.
Very
And
cool.
then ended up being a new agent trainer. And now I have my own brokerage that I do with property management and sales.
Very cool. I appreciate you being here as always, Dominique.
Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you for your thoughts too. Those are great. Yeah, it's so true. It reminds me of the 30 by 30 concept that Gary Keller talks about. 30 touches per year for your database of contacts. And that involves email marketing, video text, calls, physical mailers. These are all different activities that you can do to stay in front and top of mind of your clients. And so,
and just if you're door knocking or cold calling or any of that, and they're kind of hesitant, no, I don't want to sell. Well, if I can get your email address, are you at least interested? I can set you up on a system that will send you comps for your property once a quarter. I won't bother you any more than that.
Yep.
It's nice. And there's automated programs out there that'll do that for you. And it just touches them once a quarter with your name and their property data. So
Yeah.
that's relevant directly to them versus sending them recipes that they don't want or anything like that.
Yep. Very cool. Appreciate that, Dominique. Thank you. All right. So going into the afternoon, I'm going to get more detailed. So generally, based on best practices, there's usually 3 90-minute listing presentations or working with buyers. So there's if there's 3 different families that you're working with, or an investor and 2 families. So 3 90-minute presentations in the afternoon between 4 and 6 roughly. And obviously, like I said earlier, if you don't have those 3 appointments booked in the afternoon, then you go back into the cold calling, the door knocking, the email prospecting, the private messaging, the DM strategy on social media. But it's basically outreach, right? You want to be putting yourself out there because you can't be heard if you're not communicating. And the people that are jabbers, like one of my other clients, it comes to mind, he just closed a listing, another $2 million listing in Bell Canyon, California. And this guy I worked with on establishing his online presence, and now he's just rocketing to he's getting awards with the company that he's at. And he's just it's very inspirational to see, because he was he used to own a moving and storage company, and I helped him with the transition, and he got his real estate license, and it's all possible. It's just a matter of your commitment level, right? So I'm going to ask you a question, and it's a rhetorical question. So just think about it for yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're fully committed to achieving your goals in real estate, and 1 being you're done with real estate, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? So this is just for you to think about and just write it down, right? Write down what number you would give yourself in your real estate business on a scale of 1 to 10. Hopefully you have a number by now. And so the question is now, what would it take to get you to level 10, right? If you put a 6, what would it take for you to get to a level 10? Maybe it's these habits that we're talking about right now. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you need accountability, right? And that's where we, as consultants, as me, if you hire me, when I work with my people, we're making sure that you're on track to achieving your goals, right? And even if it's not me, even if it's your spouse, right? Your spouse, your significant other, you just look, I want to do this by this time. And if I don't, I'm going to pay you $500 or $100 or whatever, some kind of something to put yourself out there. And it doesn't have to be your spouse. It could be a cousin, it could be a friend, but this is where people hire me to hold them accountable for what they say they want. And sometimes if there's no accountability, sometimes there's statistics that show basically when you hire a coach or a consultant to help you achieve your goals, you tend to get them faster, right? So going into the evening time of a top performing real estate agent, so usually between after those appointments, after 6, maybe between 5 and 7, it's you're home, your dinner, you're having family time, whatever that is to you, taking or dropping off your kids, whatever that means to you in the evening, you want to stay present, you want to recharge. I mean, I remember this young girl, like maybe mid-20s, very successful in real estate early in her career, which is still very young, maybe her early 20s. So she was like later to early mid-20s, but she had a heart attack because she worked herself to the bone, right? And that's not work-life balance. That's like crazy, right? That's crazy. That's crazy. Like in my mind, that's crazy. That's too much. That's like you're running on the red zone like the whole time. And so I'm sharing this with you because these top performers that sustain and maintain a thriving business over time, they understand this balance between working and contribution versus spending time with people they love, recharging their batteries, going to spas, grounding. Like that's why the morning is important, just in the evening as well. So sometimes that's being with your mom and dad, being with your children, whatever that means to you, enjoying a good meal consistently, right? So you enjoy all aspects of life, contribution and family time. And then in the evening, like I mentioned before, it's, you do sports. Like I play ice hockey, you guys can do pickleball, or you can do whatever, basketball, hang out with your significant other, read a book, watch Netflix or whatever, it's that personal time in the evening. It's all what you want to do. And the secret to waking up early, and from what I've observed, is people just go to bed earlier, right? And there's a guy who makes a lot of money, and I kind of feel like a broken record saying it, but the guy makes over $100 million a year. What he says is people that don't fit in within his schedule, like friends and family that want to have dinner with him at whatever 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or go drinking, he just doesn't go to those. Other top performers go with him at, go to dinner at 5 or 6 early, right? And if it doesn't meet within his frame, he does not go. If it doesn't meet within his schedule time allotted for the certain activities, he just ignores he doesn't ignore it, but he rejects the appointment, right? Or the request, So instead of going to drinks late at night, he goes to drink at 6 or 7:30 at the latest, right? So that he's back by 9, so he can go to bed, so he can wake up at 5 a.m. or 4:30 a.m. or 3 a.m., whatever these crazy guys do. But I'm just sharing with you these best practices so you can see where you're at, calibrate it, right? Calibrate where, okay, that's an example of elite performance. Is that what I really want for myself? You don't have to want it for yourself, by the way. You can make your own adjustments based on what your goals are and your lifestyle. So this goes back to what I opened with, is putting it into a time block, right? Putting it into your calendar and really holding yourself accountable to it, right? Time block the habits you want to build. You can set it as a reoccurring item on Gmail or on Outlook or iCal. And yeah, you always want to be training. Training is continually evolving. If you're not growing, you're dying. So, as long as you're focused on that, you should be able to continually grow a business you love. And I just noticed Irma is here, and Irma has won multiple awards with the company that she's affiliated with. I know she's driving today, so here is one of the guests that I had that I would love to hear from you, Irma, because it's been a while. If you want to chime in on any of the thing, I know you got in a little bit late, but feel free to unmute yourself and let us know, like, what, give them an introduction, tell them a little bit about you, and any thoughts or suggestions for new agents that are struggling that you think would help them out. Let's see if she can hear me. I know she's driving, so let's see if she can Hopefully there's not too much background noise, but if she doesn't hop on, it's okay. But yeah, Irma Soltero Sparks. So maybe it's not. Maybe it's Irma R. But anyway, I've worked with Irma for a long time in the past, and she still continually gets awards from her company. But if it's not Irma Sparks, then that's okay. I will have her on in the future. So that's pretty much the content that I had in mind for all of you today. Feel free to unmute yourselves. Let me know if you have any questions, additional thoughts, or and if you want to schedule a consultation with me on how we can work together in a coaching capacity, feel free to send me a private message, reply to the email that I sent you. Yeah, because that's what I'm here to do. This is what I built my whole career on, helping people achieve a lot of success in their growth, in their real estate business. Some of the things that we work on together when you choose to work with me is, habits, mindset, heart set, digital marketing, like optimizing your profiles, driving leads with video. There's a whole module on video that I talk about and how you can get more comfortable and confident on video. And it involves habits, you guys. So if you enjoyed today, feel free to join me next Friday. Next Friday, I will be talking about video and how you can drive leads with video. And if you would like to register early, just pay attention to the emails, put me in your inbox. And if there's no other questions, we will go ahead and wrap it up.
Thank you.
Marcos. Yeah, I see. Oh, and Bridget. Yes, I see you. Marcos, I didn't see you hop in earlier, but welcome to the conversation. Bridget, did you have something you wanted to share?
Oh, no, just thank you. And thank you to Dominique.
Awesome. Yeah, Bridget, you're
Thank you.
very cool. Our pleasure.
Hector?
Yes, Marcos.
Yeah. No, this is Robert.
Oh, Robert, yes.
Yeah, I just want to know, do you have a website that I could take a look at, personal, like outlining, what you do on your coaching, that type of thing?
Usually the way and I appreciate the question because I do customized consulting. So, and I normally don't offer this to the public. And I know you're on my email list because we might've met in the past at a previous event or something like that. I've done a lot of speaking events in the past. And so I have a huge list that I was kind of dormant for a long time.
Mhm.
And so I send out these Evite invitations to people that I've connected with. And so all of my consultation is customized to your situation. So I don't really have an explainer like how we work together besides what I just mentioned. So the way it works is we book a call, like a one-on-one call, and based on what's going on in your business and where you're at right now, it's kind of like we take a snapshot, and then based on what you want to work on, whether it's online, offline, paid advertising strategy, organic marketing strategy, we would go into those based on what your goals are. And if you wanted to do some paid marketing, for example, we would go into that. I usually work with people in 90-day increments. So you would hire me for 90 days. And every week we would get together on video, just like this. We would record the video. So you would have it as a reference for the future in case I go through some technology, because I go pretty technical sometimes with the work that we do together. So I just record them for your own reference. And so you have a library. By the end of the 12 weeks, you have a library of content that we've worked on and established for you to continually grow your company. So I work on 3 different levels. I work on the broker owner level. I work on the manager level with recruiting and stuff like that. And then I work on the agent level. And on the agent level, there's 3 different types of agents I work with: new, mid, or very experienced agent. So depending on where you're at is where I go in, kind of like a doctor, kind of diagnosing where you're at so I can give you solutions to make even more money and help even more people with real estate.
Okay.
But here's my website if you wanted to, I'm going to put it in the chat. If anybody wants to book a consultation, these are the free 15-minute consultations that I do. So you go to thinkstatus.com and you'll be able to book a session there on the top, or the second to the top, it says book a call. You'll be able to book a session there and we'll just go into what I just mentioned. And I don't work with everybody. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my career that I get to choose the people I work for. So if there's a good fit, I'll make you an offer to work together with me. And I've been, yeah, that's kind of the way I do it.
Okay, fair
Appreciate
enough.
the question, Robert.
Yeah.
Marcos, I see you unmute you unmuted yourself.
Oh,
Great
Yes,
for
I
you.
just wanted to say thank you. I'm still kind of like listening because I want to transition to the real estate, but I don't think because of my work, I'm ready, but I'm kind of like, browsing around to see who, like the people that I want to work with, because you're right. Coaching is way better than just getting started and, having somebody to accountability.
Yeah, the accountability is huge. I mean, it's I've been coached throughout my entire career. The best performers have coaches, the best of the best. And I know this from playing hockey for so long, playing ice hockey for so long. Usually, like right now, it's playoff hockey, it's the championship level. But you can see, like, if you've been watching sports, think about any sport, whether it's basketball or soccer or hockey or whatever, you can see the coach. If the coach has very good experience and won championships before, you'll see who has more championships. Like after you see a lot of patterns, it's called, pattern recognition. When you see the patterns of success, then you'll see which team is going to be the better team based on that experience. And it's fun. I love athletics because it kind of relates to business as well. So every single one of you, I think you're your own best coach. But sometimes when you have other people looking at you and what you're doing, you can become an even better coach for yourself when you hire the right performer, or you write the right help, right? Or the right consultant, so I believe you're your own best coach. But what I do with my people is I make you even better based on what you want. So what, if you don't mind sharing, what other work do you do besides real estate, Marcos?
Oh, well, I do taxes and accounting.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. I've worked with people in that similar world, and it's a great combination. If you can do both, usually the way they do it is in tax season, they focus just on taxes and accounting. And then off season, like now, that's when you get listings and you go back into the database and you say, hey, I'm a part of a very successful team. Part of my team does, real estate investing. And if you need help buying or selling, I'd be more than happy to help you with that. And so you go into the conversation and you can approach it in two different ways, like buyers or sellers, right? And as a business owner, Marcos, you have a great advantage and how you position yourself with that, because you can team up with other people in the buying world, like other buyers, and you could split deals with those real estate professionals.
Actually, that's what I thought it was going to be. That's why I got my license and everything.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but that's why I need a coach, because I cannot see how to transition, or at least to, but I have done, I have worked with, usually I work with, loan officers, and I help them with people like kind of to qualify, to actually, especially those people that get cash, income.
Yeah.
That's how I'll be working. So that's how I know a lot about, kind of like the transaction of real estate, but I guess I don't understand how to do the real estate,
Yeah. The doing part is very important.
Yes.
But that's where we talked about leverage. I don't know if you heard that part, but leverage means, you might be an expert in, accounting and taxes, right? You are the expert in that. But when you have people on your team that are qualified and experienced and have a track record of success, it amplifies the work that you do. It amplifies your value. And so, but you have to understand how to make that conversation happen in the eyes of your client, right?
That's right.
So yeah, we can definitely talk about that. Irma R, is that you?
Yes, that's me, Soltero Sparks.
Oh, good. I wasn't sure if it was
Can you
you
hear me?
because it says Irma R. Okay.
Well, I don't know why I think it stands for realtor, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'll fix it. Okay, cool. I'm so glad
hear
that was
me?
you. I wasn't sure if that was you because I knew you were driving. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you being here. What's going on?
sorry I missed the first part. I'm driving to your part of the world, Southern California. Oh, yeah. Anyways, I'll be taking care of my grandson and then going to San Diego to visit with Camille for a few days too. So gonna do a double whammy. But you know, the most important factor in my career, and I've been doing this for 25 years and have been at Century 21 for 25 years. I pride myself on that because not very many agents can say that consistent. And that's what you have to be when it comes to making phone calls. If you're gonna really influence your sphere of influence, I think we need to be on the phone with our past clients or what you hope to become your future client. 98% of my business does come from my past clients, which I totally love. So I just say be on time, be punctual, and do get on some type of exercise routine. And I use my exercise routine as part of my goal setting. If I get behind on my goal set, I kind of say, ooh, if I can do my exercise routine every day, can't I make my phone calls every day? It's just a part of my everyday work.
I love seeing pictures of your walks on your Instagram when you post. That's
Yeah,
it's
well,
great. I know you have a very inspirational story, Irma. Would you be open to sharing with them how you started and where you're at now?
Sure, if you have a moment.
Yes.
So 25 years ago, I didn't even know that Century 21 was a real estate company. I had my successful house cleaning business, and I did that because it kept me from being qualified for welfare, to be real honest with you. But I was getting tired of that career, so I decided I needed to change. And I answered an ad in a paper that said career night, and I signed up thinking I was going to get an aptitude test, and they started talking about real estate, and I freaking freaked out, was ready to walk out, but I stayed and listened, and the next day I signed up for my real estate courses. I passed the test on the first try, only because I couldn't afford to fail. I went to my first interview with Century 21, not knowing I had options to go to another interview with other companies. I liked the brokers and I stayed with them, not knowing what a commission base was, not knowing that I had to pay to be an associate. And they told me I could go do that. And I said, I'm flat broke. I can't do this. I didn't know I had to pay you to work here. I left, was leaving, and the receptionist stopped me, and my broker paid my dues for the first year. And when I went to pay him back after I closed my first transaction, he refused to take my money. He saw what I didn't see in me. So part of the reason I'm still where I'm at is because somebody believed in me. So if you find someone that believes in you, trust them for the rest of your life.
Thank you, Irma.
So
awesome.
that's
so
that's
awesome.
a real brief. And I've been successful. I've been a centurion. If you are with Century 21 and on this call, you know what that means. It's a high honor to be a part of that master's group with a leading company in the industry. I love it.
Very cool, very cool. So a centurion, for those people that don't know, can you tell them what that is, especially nowadays?
Oh God, it's a huge achievement. It puts you in the top 1% in the world with our Century 21 franchise, meaning you probably have sold over 40 plus transactions in a year, and you start at zero every year. So it's not an easy accomplishment, especially with our pricing that continues to be driven. So I've always been unit oriented because I do deal with the lower and to moderate income, but I've chosen that as my niche. So the majority of my clients do not speak English, which I'm really proud to say that I feel that I am doing an exceptional job with a community that very many people don't want to work with because you don't make a lot of money. So my thought was, if I don't make a lot of money in unit, in volume, I have to do a lot of units. So I average between 40 units, about 40 units a year. When I started, it was mostly all buyers. Now I'm representing 50-50 on buyers and listing. So it's kind of good to be in that position. And now, because I've been doing it so long, I'm doing second generation now, meaning the kids that were babies when I put their families into escrow, they're now buying their first homes. So I'm super excited about that. But it's all about units for me. I have to close a lot of units in order to make any level of the Century 21 Masters Club. So just a lot of hard work, being on time, like I said, and just always doing what's going to bring you more clients. And that's all about communicating. My site is all about communication.
Yeah, it
So-
reminds me, I've worked with other professionals in the business for as long as you have and longer. I won't name drop, but I'm thinking of another agent who's got like the most prestigious award in all of Century 21 I personally work with. She says you got to approach it as a job, right? You go to your job every day, even if you don't feel like it. And she is just no nonsense, very serious. And that approach that Irma talked about and that I'm referencing right now from this other person, that approach of just, it's called industriousness. And that word industriousness, I learned from like the #1 coach of all of UCLA, John Wooden. And being industrious is very valuable over time, right? That's something my dad taught me as well. He's an engineer. Even now, he still works because he enjoys it. He already has a pension and stuff like that. I'm telling you these things because your consistency will make you succeed or not, right? But if you're consistent and you have somebody that's going to help you get off your feet, having somebody hold you accountable is a key component to that. And Irma, I appreciate you. Everybody, I appreciate all of you being here. We've got a couple more minutes before we wrap it up. I just saw Jacob join us, but what we'll do, Jacob, is I will send you the recording of this training. And if you want to book a private session with me, I have the link in the chat. But since we have 5 minutes left before we wrap it up, just to be respectful of your time, any questions that you guys have for Irma or for me with regards to what we've covered today? No? Okay. Jacob, I saw you unmute yourself. Did you want to say anything? And if not, that's okay too. Awesome. Okay. All right, then we will wrap it up. It's been awesome being with everybody today, being with all of you today. Feel free to reach out to me and we'll schedule a consultation for you. Thank you, Irma, for being here. Thank you, Dominique, for your contributions, and have a great rest of the weekend.
Bye, Hector.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Hector.
Bye, Hector.
Bye, Hector. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yes.
Irma.
Hector.
Take care.